TikTok is apparently very close to a deal which would shift ownership so that, like Adam Schiff, sorry, reference to the last segment, into the hands majority stake of the TikTok in the United States of U.S. people. All right, I'm not going to be the expert on this story of the deal itself and the nitty gritty, but what I do find really scary and fascinating is that some recognizable names are coming up as to who will be a part of this deal, who will have control over TikTok if the deal goes through. Because a lot of people are excited and relieved that it won't be banned in the US because of this. But I have to show you a moment in an interview where Trump reveals something frightening. So first, some context. Associated Press reports tech giant Oracle will oversee the security for a licensed copy of recommendation engine powering TikTok under the terms of a proposed divestment deal. The Trump administration official who insisted on said they believe the plan will satisfy national security concerns if TikTok divests. American officials have previously warned of the algorithm, all those different things, and Oracle will receive a copy of the algorithm and oversee the app security operations. And then you have these different ownership parts of it. And listen first to CNN, then we'll get to the Trump interview laying out how this plan's coming together.
President Trump now says the tech billionaires Larry Ellison and Michael Dell, plus the Murdochs, Lachlan and Rupert Murdoch, could be part of the TikTok deal. CNN chief media analyst Brian Stelter is with us now. What exactly do we know about the deal and, most importantly, the algorithm?
Let's start at the most important detail of all. All of this requires the approval of the Chinese government, and it is not at all clear that that approval is actually about to happen. Although the Chinese president did make some positive signals about this last week after his call with President Trump, it is quite clear that China views the TikTok situation in the U.S. as a very valuable point of leverage. So we can come back to that in a moment. But what we do know over the weekend is that President Trump talked about some of the expected investors in this American consortium. This consortium would control the U.S. operations of TikTok, including that all-powerful algorithm, which would apparently be retrained using servers belonging to Oracle. That's the company that is controlled by Larry Ellison, the billionaire tech mogul.
Okay, this is the part to listen to, because we just got done with a segment reminding ourselves of the risks of how Trump is trying to leverage control over media outlets. Now, arguably the most influential social media platform, one of them, look at how his buddies are going to be involved.
Who is a friend of President Trump's. Notably, Trump said over the weekend in an interview on Fox News that Fox's owners may also be involved in the consortium. This was a new bit of news that Trump seemed to enjoy revealing on Fox's cable network. He said that Rupert Murdoch and Lachlan Murdoch are in talks about having a stake in the venture. Now, I'm told by a person familiar with the matter, this means that Fox Corporation as a company would actually be getting a small stake in TikTok. So if you think about this, Larry Ellison, a friend of the president, the Murdochs, these billionaires who are going to be in this American investor consortium, they are, of course, Trump friendly and Trump adjacent. And that raises new questions about...
Questions? It raises answers. We know exactly the interest Trump has in the Murdochs. Larry Ellison, I think, are the most relevant examples here, having some level of control over TikTok. I have so much to say about that, but because I've been teasing it, look at where Trump made this big announcement.
So you get back from the United Kingdom this week. First thing you do, talk to President Xi. It seems like you guys are getting really, really close to a deal for Americans to take over TikTok. They'll get to keep the algorithm because it's so addictive. That's what makes it so valuable. How much money are we talking? How much are these Americans?
A tremendous amount of money.
Billions?
Oh, I'd rather have them. You know, they're very well-known people, and Larry Ellison's one of them. He's involved. He's a great guy. Michael Dell is involved. I hate to tell you this, but a man named Lachlan is involved. Do you know who Lachlan is? That's a very unusual name, Lachlan Murdoch.
Mr. Murdoch.
I believe, and you call him, and Rupert is probably going to be in the group. I think they're going to be in the group. And a couple of others, really great people, very prominent people. and they're also American patriots. You know, they love this country, so I think they're going to do a really good job. I'm a little prejudiced with TikTok because, you know, I did so well with the young voter, and by the way,
he did not win the youth vote. What we are barreling so rapidly towards the point of no return. I get it's not as simple as Lachlan Murdoch is a part of the ownership consortium thing and all of a sudden gets to plug pro-Trump videos. It's not as simple as Larry Ellison, who I guess has a friendly relationship with Trump too, will slant things overtly in his direction. But do we feel good? Do we feel good that those individuals, if this comes to the point of a full deal, would have that level of involvement? They would be partially owning the TikTok-based company with some influence over it, presumably. The same, if you're not familiar, the Murdochs, Rupert Murdoch and his son Lachlan, who's taking over, they brought us this current moment to a degree that no other family did. They were at the top of the... What the hell?
What the hell happened?
They were at the top of the Fox empire. That's to think about. It's not just Fox News, obviously. Other right-wing outlets, also under the umbrella of the Murdochs. The damage that single family and the companies associated with them, Fox News being the most prominent example of this, have done to our political discourse. They created the most effective model of 24/7 rage, the 24/7 rage machine. I do not want TikTok to be run in any capacity by the same people who brought you this.
Well, for most of its history as a company, Mars Inc. was known for making candy, Milky Way, Skittles, Snickers, and most famously M&Ms, which they claim melted in your mouth but not in your hand. But over time, churning out delicious and highly lucrative calorie bombs was not enough for Mars. Its executives wanted to be Starbucks. Sure, our product is unhealthy, but we're woke, so please don't notice. So in its ad campaigns, Mars set about making its M&M characters as unattractive as possible, because when you're intentionally repulsive, it's clear you've got the right politics. So the green M&M lost her sexy boots, the brown M&M her stiletto heels. The orange M&M, meanwhile, became a poster boy for the mental health crisis and would henceforth, quote, acknowledge and embrace his anxiety, because America badly needs more neurotic candy. Then late last year, Mars went further. The company added obese and distinctly frumpy lesbian M&Ms to promote, quote, feminism and body positivity.
How do we know that they're lesbian? Is that something they said, that these are lesbians? M&M's characters? He's created a whole backstory in his head. You know, the green one, her family didn't appreciate that, and they didn't respect her. They kicked her out of the house, actually, and this caused something psychosexually that really makes her a little bit of a freak in the sheets. And so the brown M&M tries to really keep up with that, but she can't, and so she has to go to these different treatment centers that get her more sexually charged so she can meet the needs of the green M&M. Like, this is what they've said. This is what the M&M company said, which is true, by the way. We're just asking about it. I don't know why they don't want us to ask about it. I don't know where he got that information. Maybe it's true. But then also, frumpy, they're obese. Do they look more obese than before? They're round M&Ms. What is frumpy about a sphere? And Tucker. Frumpy? Let's not talk about frumpy, okay?
In other words, explained the Mars Corporation, it's good to be fat. Have some more M&Ms. Well, we reported on this at the time and pledged a deeper investigation into it. But before we could complete our investigation, Mars announced that it's suspending its ad campaign. A chocolate vendor promoting obesity was just too shameless even by modern standards. But at CNN, they were infuriated by the news. News anchors who have not had a carb since the Bush administration became hysterical as they defended Mars's pro-fatness campaign. CNN political analyst and notably unhappy person Kirsten Powers.
They're M&Ms. they're not going to be the emblem of skinniness per se. You can take that one down. I don't want the same people who brought us that to have any control over TikTok. We'll play a little more.
M&Ms were pushing intolerance, but they've been changed. You're seeing the changes right now on your screen. The green M&M, you will notice, is no longer wearing sexy boots. Now she's wearing sensible sneakers. Why the change? Well, according to M&Ms, quote, we all win when we see more women in leading roles, because leading women do not wear sexy boots. Leading women wear frumpy shoes. The frumpier, the better. That's the rule. The other big change is that the brown M&M.
Wait, this is old and new. They look identical. I guess the high heels are slightly different.
Has, quote, transitioned from high stilettos to lower block heels. Also less sexy. That's progress. M&Ms will not be satisfied until every last cartoon character is deeply unappealing and totally androgynous. Until the moment you wouldn't want to have a drink with any one of them. That's the goal. When you're totally turned off, we've achieved equity.
Yeah, I actually think he brought up something pretty interesting there. You know how it's so hard to predict often if someone will be a predator, like a sexual predator, until it's too late. So we can get justice in the sense that we can prosecute them for being a predator if they engage in criminal acts. But it's so hard to just get justice in the sense of stopping people before they ever do something. Because how do you know that they're perverted? But I think if you ran tests on people to see how many times in their life they were sexually turned on by an M&M, we could just go ahead and lock those people up and save society a lot of pain. Tucker clearly would have to go into that jail cell. I think that a part of how we could prevent sexual crimes would be just putting in front of them the sexy stiletto M&M and say, are your pants still the same tightness? And just put them in jail if there's any change in the tightness of the pants. So that was a funny example. Nonstop, you have very non-funny examples of Fox being totally uninterested in facts. And it's not just the right that does this now. Obviously, people play into division and cliques and rage debate for the sake of interest. But Fox did it like no one else before and does it like nobody else before. Or no one else right now. They kind of created a playbook for how you can, regardless of the news cycle, drive an audience constantly crazy such that they can never unplug, because it's somehow, and I don't understand this evolutionarily, but so addictive to be pissed, so addictive to be afraid, so addictive to think about a non-binary furry climbing through your window at night. So addictive to think about the child you don't have losing in a race at a sport they don't play to a trans person. You know what I mean? Like, it's so addictive to picture your daughter Sarah losing in a swimming race to a trans person when you don't have any daughters. And being told that that's the existential threat to our country. There's something so addictive about Obama from Kenya. He's from Kenya. He's lying about where he's from. Look at his passport. Well, don't look at it. It actually confirms he doesn't have it. He's African. And they have driven many of our loved ones mad. Absolutely mad, psychologically. Because now they're addicted to the fear, to the anger. And they've created a standard that now other right-wing outlets, and there are now, a lot of ones I'm critical of, left-wing outlets, that saw how profitable that model was and are doing the exact same thing. And it's not all because it's not all from Fox, but they just really mastered it. They were the experts at this kind of corrosive media. And so the idea of Lachlan Murdoch, along with Trump friend Larry Ellison, along with who else? I don't think Dell. He's not a right-winger, right? Come on, Dell. is really scary. There are fewer and fewer outlets. We went through a list recently. Obviously, you have X, and then you have one liberal outlet after another bending the knee to Trump and being too scared to push back. And now TikTok could fall. Maybe not. Maybe that's too hyperbolic, but that's the fear, as you heard the CNN commentator bring up.